What if Ned Stark had become king instead of Robert Baratheon? Let's explore the depths of this alternate history. Robert Baratheon stared at the bloodied corpses at his feet, a sickness settling in his gut. He had always been accustomed to gore, even relished it at times, but this was different. These were children. Tywin Lannister, however, showed no sign of remorse. His expression remained as cold and unreadable as ever, as he gave a simple nod, ordering the bodies to be covered up. "I apologize for the mess," Tywin said smoothly. "It seems some of my men got carried away, but I assure you these are Rhaegar's children. With that, your path to the throne is clear, Your Grace." He gestured dramatically toward the Iron Throne, where Jaime Lannister stood nearby. Ned Stark remained off to the side, his face hardened with barely concealed disgust. He did not attempt to hide it. Robert, half surprised at his own hesitation, looked up at the Iron Throne. The damned chair suddenly seemed much less appealing. He glanced back at the corpses, feeling the weight of the decision before him. Battles were easy, they were brutal, but simple. This was something else entirely. Turning to Tywin, Robert's face darkened. "What makes you think I want the damned chair?" "Who else would take it?" Tywin replied evenly. "Your grandmother was a Targaryen by blood. It is you who has the greatest claim." "My claim?" Robert scoffed, lifting his warhammer. "This is my claim? I started this rebellion to end the Mad King's savagery, and I have accomplished that goal. I have no taste for ruling. If you want to give the throne to someone, give it to Stark." Ned stiffened in surprise. "Stark?" he repeated. Robert nodded. "You started this war thinking no one lost more to the Mad King than me, but I was mistaken." He turned to Ned with a grim expression. "What say you, Stark? Will you take the throne?" Ned glanced at the Iron Throne warily. It loomed before him, sharp and menacing. His eyes flicked to Tywin, and he could not picture anything good coming from a man like that sitting in power. Taking a deep breath, he nodded. "This was your rebellion, Robert. If you deem me worthy of the crown, I will strive to honor your wishes." Robert grunted in approval. Ned took a slow step forward. The eyes of everyone in the room fixed upon him as he approached the throne. Lowering himself onto the seat, he felt the cool metal spikes dig into his skin. He looked down at the bodies of Rhaegar's children, his first decision already forming in his mind. "As my first decree as king," Ned said firmly, "have these corpses taken away and prepared for burial, and have those responsible arrested immediately." A flicker of surprise crossed Tywin's face as Ned's guards seized him. Jaime, Sir Amory Lorch, and several others soon followed. The Mountain resisted, cutting down several men before Robert wrestled him to the ground. As the traitors were led away, Ned felt the weight of the task ahead. Tywin, Gregor Clegane, and Amory Lorch were all put to death, executed by Ned himself for treason against the crown. Jaime Lannister, however, was spared, barely. Jon Arryn and Robert pleaded on his behalf, convincing Ned to allow Jaime to take the Black instead. Begrudgingly, Ned agreed, sending him to the Wall alongside other prisoners taken during the sack of King's Landing. With the rebellion now over, Ned began accepting fealty from the defeated lords. Houses Tyrell and Martell were largely spared any punishment, as Ned was more focused on mending the wounds left by the war rather than seeking vengeance. Most royalist houses yielded without resistance, except for Dragonstone, which remained defiant. Robert urged Ned to storm the castle and execute the Targaryen children, but Ned refused. Instead, he personally sailed to Dragonstone to negotiate. Outside the castle walls, Sir William Dowry emerged to meet the new king. The grizzled knight studied Ned Stark carefully. "You've held this castle admirably, Sir William," Ned acknowledged. "I take it you've received my terms." "I have," Dowry replied. "And let me guess, You're here to demand their heads." Ned exhaled. "Some of my advisors believe that is what I should do. Robert and Lord Arryn both think it the best way to ensure peace." "Of course the boar wants them dead," Darry scoffed. "Nothing less would satisfy his bloodlust. But what do you believe?" "I believe that peace built on such a foundation is no peace at all," Ned admitted. "So I offer this instead. A royal pardon for the Targaryen children. They will be allowed to live in the Seven Kingdoms as lords, with the houses of the Narrow Sea pledged to them, provided they swear loyalty to the crown." Darry raised an eyebrow. "How generous. If I may offer a suggestion." "You may. Dragonstone is a fortress, and keeping them here will make them feel like prisoners. If you truly wish to ensure their loyalty, let them be raised in the mainland. My cousin Sir Raymond Darry would gladly foster them. His liege lord is your ally, and our house has suffered much in this war. We have no reason to rebel." Ned considered the offer before nodding. "These terms are acceptable." With that, Dragonstone surrendered. The royal children were led out, and as young Viserys Targaryen walked through the castle gates, he spotted Ned Stark watching him. The new king looked distant and grim to the boy, a man who had seized his birthright, yet allowed him to live. As they were taken onto a ship bound for the mainland, Viserys clutched Daenerys' hand tightly, determined to remember the day their fate was decided. With Robert's rebellion finally at an end, Ned began his rule in peace, appointing Jon Arryn as Hand of the King. He sought to mend the divisions left by the war, offering the heads of Tywin Lannister and Gregor Clegane to the Martells as reparation for Ilya's murder. Though Robert raged at Ned's decision to let the Targaryens live, he could not stay angry for long, especially when the news of Lyanna's death reached him. Overcome with grief, Robert withdrew to Storm's End, leaving Ned to govern the realm. For years, Ned ruled justly, healing the realm in ways Robert never could. He lacked the Baratheons' charisma, but made up for it with honor and fairness. Rather than punish houses for their loyalties in the war, he focused on cooperation and unity. However, peace was fleeting. When Balon Greyjoy launched his rebellion, the realm once again prepared for war. Robert and Stannis led the charge against the Ironborn, with many houses rallying to their cause. Even former enemies like the Redwinds, Tyrells, and Kevin Lannister. Among those fighting for the crown was a surprising figure, Viserys Targaryen, now serving as Sir Raymond Darry's squire. The young Targaryen began earning respect, proving his skill and courage. During a night raid, he even killed an Ironborn warrior, solidifying his growing reputation. After the Greyjoy rebellion was crushed, Ned continued to observe the Targaryen children. He grew fond of Daenerys, treating her with kindness and teaching her about the North. Viserys, however, remained distant. Despite this, Ned saw potential in the boy. He did not wish to build a dynasty, nor did he intend to hold the throne forever. Quietly, he began considering a plan, one that in time would see the Targaryens restored. As Viserys grew older, he was officially named Lord of Dragonstone and given control over Crackclaw Point as a gesture of goodwill. But while Ned believed he was securing peace, Viserys was forging secret alliances. Across the Narrow Sea, he met with the Golden Company, men who still dreamt of restoring Targaryen rule. And in Westeros, Cersei Lannister had not forgotten her grievances. When offered the hand of Viserys Targaryen, she saw an opportunity for revenge against the Starks. Their marriage was a stormy one, but Cersei was more than a wife. She was a whisperer, feeding Viserys a steady diet of paranoia and resentment. And as whispers turned to plans, and plans turned to war, the realm found itself on the brink of a new conflict, one that would decide once and for all who would truly sit upon the Iron Throne. Viserys swings his sword in a desperate attack, but his opponent sidesteps and brings his blade down in a clean arc, The strike cuts deep into Viserys' chest, and he staggers backward before collapsing into the mud. The battlefield falls into a hush as word spreads of his death. Leaderless and broken, his army begins to scatter in disarray. Ned Stark kneels beside Viserys' lifeless body, his expression grim. "It didn't have to be this way," he murmurs. As the sun sets, Ned's commanders gather around him. The victory is decisive, but the cost is heavy. Thousands lie dead on the field, their blood staining the waters of the Red Fork. The rest of the army soon follows in defeat. Jaime, surrounded by 3 armies, is utterly crushed and hanged as an oathbreaker. In the north, Robb Stark and Mage Mormont lead a series of daring attacks that drive the Ironborn back to the sea. Meanwhile, the Golden Company attempts to retreat through Maidenpool, but their escape is cut off. The newly constructed fleet of Wyman Manderley intercepts and destroys their ships, leaving them stranded. Jon Connington and much of the Golden Company are soon captured, along with many remaining Targaryen loyalists. This time there is no mercy. Those who were once offered clemency now face the executioner's sword. Among them are Raymond and Willem Derry, along with Jon Connington. Their fate is sealed, as they are personally executed by Ned Stark. However, Ned does not leave the defeated with nothing. If they wish to support a Targaryen, he presents them with a choice. Acknowledging Daenerys' bravery and her willingness to stand by her people, Ned declares her his heir. The fallen lords are given one final opportunity: swear fealty to Daenerys or die. Westeros is a land filled with thrilling stories and endless possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you wish to join us on this journey across the 7 kingdoms and beyond, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.